What if I said that work-life balance is actually a lie? It's a trap. Social media keeps on feeding us and we keep eating it up like Kobayashi, like mice to a trap, like moths to a flame. This elusive balance isn't just hard to achieve, it is impossible, but don't worry. There is a better way. I'll share what drumming and rapping has taught me about finding peace and purpose amidst life chaos. So stick around until the end of this video because the truth just might set you free. But first, I've got a question to ask you. Have you ever found yourself juggling work and family and personal life and spiritual life, feeling like all you're doing is constantly dropping the ball? If so, then hit that like button because you were not alone. And I want you to drop a comment below with your biggest struggle because we're here, we're family. We're doing this together and we're growing and we're getting better. Now let's dive into this question that I received from Devin A., who asked, how do you personally balance home life and work life? Well, first off, Devin, thank you for asking this. And it's been a privilege to meet you one-on-one and work with you. And I'm excited for what you're going to do on this journey that you are taking. Here's the thing. I don't balance work and home life because from my experience, work-life balance is in fact a myth. It is something that we've been sold, especially through social media, but the reality is much different. When we get on any kind of social media feed, especially in the personal development space, it is full of perfect snapshots of someone's seamless morning routine, their perfect family photos, their productive workday, all of this beauty. It paints a picture of perfection, that you can have it all. It's equally balanced without any sacrifice or any worries or any chaos. But here's the truth. These moments are curated, photoshopped. We don't see behind the curtain the sacrifices, the late nights, the multiple takes it took to get that perfect shot, that perfect family photo when actually your son just spit on his sister and you're in panic mode trying to get something great. The stress of that is often accompanied by this pursuit of balance. And it's not just social media, but society as a whole has pushed this idea, making us feel inadequate if we can't achieve it. I don't believe that balance like that exists, at least not in the way that it's often portrayed. Instead, I embrace what I began to call the rhythm of rest.
It's a philosophy inspired by my deep passion for music, both my experience as a former rapper and my current experience as a drummer, as well as my faith and foundation in Jesus. Now, for example, if you look at a piece of sheet music, you'll see a measure or a bar which represents a length of time. Within that measure, you have a time signature. The time signature is how you count the music. For our example, it's 4/4, which means for each measure, you count 1, 2, 3, 4, the tempo, or BPM, also known as beats per minute. So let's say that it's 120 beats per minute. Now within this tempo, you can have various notes of different note values. For example, you have the whole note, which is a long note. It's played once over the 4 beats of that measure. So boom, 2, 3, 4, boom, 2, 4. Another one you have is a half note, which is played twice. Or you have a quarter note, also known as 4 on the floor for drumming. Next, you would have 8th notes. And last, you would have 16 notes in our example. And it's 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E. Now, what you may notice here is the pace, the tempo hasn't changed. But as you increase the note values, as you add more notes within the given time, it gives this new sense of speed. And it's perceived as faster or slower than it might really be. And when you play different notes, they require different levels of effort and energy. Just like there are different lengths of notes, there are also different types of rest. A whole rest would be when you rest an entire length of time for music, or half rest when you would rest half that length of that measure. Or you have quarter notes, 8 notes, 16th notes, and so on. Each of these rest values represent a length of time you would pause. The same way tempo can be set, but the feel can be perceived faster or slower depending on the notes that you are playing. The same idea can be applied to our life. And here's how.
Think of those seasons when work demands all of your energy. Those are your fast tempos. When you're in that season, you need intense focus, working on a major project or navigating tough family crises. These are your 16 notes that are quick and demanding. But then there's also those seasons of rest and rejuvenation, your whole notes of rest, where you can slow down, recharge, and reflect. These are just as important, if not more so, because they give you the energy to handle the fast-paced seasons of life. The rhythm of rest teaches us that life isn't about balancing everything perfectly. It's about understanding the tempo of your current season and adjusting your pace accordingly. So how do you embrace this rhythm in your life? Let me share 3 simple steps that can help you avoid burnout, overwhelm, and stress so that you can live a life that feels full, meaningful, and fulfilling. So number 1, listen to life's tempo by assessing and recognizing your current season. Every season of life comes with its own unique rhythms, challenges, opportunities. The first step to living a fulfilled life is recognizing the tempo of your current season. So the practical application of this is set aside time each week, maybe during your Sunday evening or an early Monday morning, to reflect on where you were at. Look at your calendar, your commitments, and your emotional state. What patterns do you see? Are you in a season of growth, rest, or perhaps transition? Use this time to journal and write down what's happening in your life. Identify any area where you feel overwhelmed or out of sync. This practice aligns with an emphasis on self-monitoring, self-awareness, and self-management, where you can regularly assess your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors to gain insight into your mental, spiritual, and emotional state. From a biblical perspective, Ecclesiastes 3:1 reminds us that there is a time for everything, a season for every activity under heaven. Recognizing your current season allows you to better align your actions with God's timing, God's plan, God's will for your life, rather than trying to focus things to happen outside of His plans. Number 2 is find the pocket and lock in. Once you've identified your current season, adjust your routine to match the tempo, match that metronome of life. Just as a great drummer and musicians find the pocket of a song, that perfect timing, and they lock in with that beat. They lock in with that groove. You need to find that pace that allows you to move smoothly through your life. The practical application is, after recognizing your season, ask yourself, how can I adjust my daily or weekly routines to better align with this tempo? For example, if you're in a busy season, you might need to prioritize tasks more ruthlessly and say no to additional commitments. Now, on the other hand, if you're in a slower, laid-back season, you might be able to focus on some deep work or personal growth, or take that trip you desperately need. This resonates with the NLP techniques, where you adjust your mental state and behaviors to align with your desired outcome. By constantly choosing to match your routines with your season, you set yourself up for success rather than stress. The biblical perspective here is in Psalms 37:23, we're told the steps of the man are established by the Lord when He delights in His ways. Finding the pocket in your life is all about walking in step, in sync with God's direction, trusting that His guiding you to peace and true fulfillment. And then the third step is practice micro rest, and we got to honor the Sabbath. In today's fast-paced world, this idea can feel like a luxury, but listen, friend, when I say this, I can't stress this enough. Sabbath rest will find you whether in discipline or delight. It is not a luxury, it is essential. If you truly want to be fulfilled and on purpose and make a kingdom impact, then it starts with your ability to recognize when it's needed to rest. And the beauty of these micro rests is you can carve out 5 minutes a day. And what I love to do is the 5-5-5. I do 5 minutes of worship, 5 minutes of prayer, and 5 minutes in the Word of God. These 15 minutes get me aligned and give me that micro rest to set me up for success in my life, in my day. These micro rests will truly line you up in a way you've never seen before. Implement those short, intentional breaks during your work days, during your week, This could be as simple as 5-minute walks, or taking deep breaths, or the 5-5-5 like I mentioned. These small breaks help reset your mind and prevent fatigue from building up. We got to honor the Sabbath. Make it a priority to set aside one day a week where you are fully immersed in rest. Yes, I know that's hard for us high achievers, those type 3 on the Enneagram. It's really hard for us to slow down. But I encourage you, friend, in order to speed up, we have to slow down. You can become more by doing less. So set aside, make a priority to set aside one day a week where you can completely rest. Jesus himself modeled the importance of rest in Mark 6:31, where he said to his disciples, "Come with me by yourself to a quiet place and get some rest." Regular rest is crucial, essential, and beneficial to your life. If you want to go far, you need to implement not only the micro rest, but a Sabbath day rest within your week. Do not burn out, friend. Listen to me. You don't have to burn out. You don't have to wear this burnout as a badge of honor. You can establish Sabbath rest and regular rest. It's not just a physical need, it's a spiritual practice that allows you to reconnect to God and recharge your soul and spirit. By embracing this rhythm, you're not just aligning with God's timing, you're also supporting your emotional, your mental health. It is easier to manage stress, manage focus, and stay connected to your true purpose when you're not fighting against the natural flow of life. These steps are simple, but they require intentionality and discipline. Remember, life's rhythm is always changing, and the key to fulfillment in this life is learning to adjust your pace to stay in sync with God's timing in your unique season. This approach is especially relevant for us Christian men and leaders who bear a significant responsibility in their families, in their communities, in their churches, in their businesses. Instead of striving for perfection and balance, we can find peace in the rhythm of God's grace and rest that he has set before us. So Devin and everyone watching, this is my answer to work-life balance and its myth. Instead of chasing a perfect balance, tune into the rhythms of your life. Embrace the fast and the slow. Recognize the season, and most importantly, trust in God's timing. And by doing this, you'll find a deeper peace and purpose, living in harmony with both your responsibilities and your spiritual calling. So are you ready to embrace this rhythm of rest? Remember, life isn't about perfect balance. It's about finding your rhythm and leaning into the pace and tempo set by God. If today's video resonated with you, let me know what part helped you the most. Or if you have any questions, drop them in the comments, and I'd love to hear from you. Also, I wanted to let you know that I have a whole playlist on time management and even more thoughts on this rhythm of rest that you can further develop these skills and buy your time back to slow down by speeding up. Now, friend, I love you. I'm praying for you. Now, let's go live better than best as we conquer this week.